few of the players at the bottom have started to win some matches, so things will change a hair. But today looks a lot like the players on top kind of making their noise there, and then, of course, some trying to qualify.
Well, from Melling's point of view, he can still get to 7 if he wins his 2 remaining matches. But, of course, he's had a couple of 5-0 defeats along the way, so his racks difference has taken a bit of a hammering. Anyway, that's something to keep an eye on later in the day. And from a match which has big implications for who gets through to the next phase, we now switch our attention to an encounter between 2 players who are definitely going through, and now it's all about building up the wins to carry forward into phase 2. It's Jayson Shaw against this man, Alex Pagulayan.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Michael. All these players, Jayson, Alex, Ruiz, of course, Pelovanovic, he can do nothing wrong, it seems, so far. So he's going to continue to try and improve his position. But these players are kind of looking to that final 10. And then what could be eventually the final 6.
And Pelovanovic closing in on yet another win. As I was telling you, he's playing Earl Strickland. He's at the table looking to complete a 5-2 success.
Yeah, and I mean, alternate break races to 5, all the great players. The most impressive probably, I mean, you got to look at the wins, of course, but the rack differential plus 25.
Well, if he keeps winning, he's going to get that up to such a level that it will almost act as an extra point to carry through. Remember, it goes to racks difference if you're level on matches 1. And if you're still tied after that, it comes down to head-to-heads. It's not become embroiled in that just yet.
No, probably going at the 6 with the cue ball here. Oh, he caught it a little thin, maybe a little light. Fortunate, I think the one got past the side where that's not playable. Don't think he can take on the corner either. I don't know what the play is here. This is very difficult. Could maybe come across the one somewhat thick and kind of coast down behind the 3-8. Very difficult as well, though. Maybe cutting at this. Yeah, and what happens there anytime you're threatening a scratch, and that was a very possibility up in the corner, kind of leaned towards helping the cue ball at times and caught that one a little thick to the pocket.
It's all over on table 2, and it's a familiar story in this year's Premier League. Sanjin Pelovanovic has won. He's beaten Earl Strickland by 5 racks to 2.
Extension code.
It's a match which had a little bit of low-level controversy. Some classic Strickland antics during that. And that leaves him now still on 4 wins with only 2 matches left to go. Pelovanovic, though, moves on to 11. And he can still improve on that with 2 more fixtures to come on this Friday in Leicester.
Yeah, really nice jump shot, and we've seen many this week so far. Some really incredible jump shots, probably the best by the man in the chair watching Alex at the moment. That heel shot he made against Skylar Woodward, Jayson Shaw. Okay, he's just gotta kill the cue ball a little bit with a little right side here, keeping the cue ball between the 5 and 8 off of a couple cushions. Not too difficult. Now in a great position. Little thin on the 4, but he had to guard a little bit. Didn't want to let the cue ball get away from him. He's got a very clear up top left side of the table, so he should pull the cue ball a couple rails with low left English. Yeah, a little off with the timing there. You would have normally let the stroke out and come for the side, or a little calmer 2 rails for the purple in the lower right. So a little more of a shot than we expected.
Jayson Shaw on such a hot streak coming into this match. He's won 6 in a row. His last defeat was on Tuesday.
And I think maybe 5 of those were 5-4 matches. So playing well and running well as also.
Well, all his matches on Wednesday were 5-4, and then one of his matches yesterday as well. A couple of 5-2s to follow. One thing which Shaw hasn't won is the opening rack. That has gone the way of Alex Pagulayan. He leads 1-0.
Alex Pagulayan wins the rack.
So now that the Pelovanovic-Strickland match is over and it's finished in favour of the man from Bosnia and Herzegovina, next up on table 2 will be Albin Ocean against Woo Kun Lin. Now Ocean is on 7 wins, so you would think he needs 1 more to make sure of getting through. Woo Kun Lin is on 6. He's still got 3 matches to go. A total of 4 for him to play today. He's already had one of those and he's won it. But to make sure of getting through, you would feel Woo has probably got to win
Jayson Shaw to break
2 of his 3 remaining matches. 1 more
1
win will be enough to get him to 7, but his racks difference is only +1 at the moment, so could do with a couple more wins. Anyway, Ocean against Woo, just about to start on table 2. Matchroom Multisport YouTube is the place to go for all the table 2 action throughout the tournament. Back here on the main table, Pagulayan leading 1-0.
Yeah, and the cue ball came clean there, so a nice shot on the 1. Jayson makes the 1 in the side at a pretty high rate. Didn't make it there, but did get another down. Very odd 5 ball on the middle of the bottom rail with the 8 kind of covering it up from one side, so a lot of work here. Gonna get a little straight here on the 3, and prime position on the 4 is very much needed to get on a tough 5 ball, so limited options when you don't have much angle. Now he may have to take on a little bit longer shot on the pink 4 than he really desired, so this is where he can rely on that
extension code.
Straight shooting. I wonder if he's going to really work the ball here, if he just kind of gets out for the 4 in the lower right. He tried to really punch out. I didn't think that was really going to work. As far as getting position on the 5, it is. Definitely has a shot on the 4. Now I think he's sizing up a very odd combination on the 5-8, and if he doesn't like it, he'll just end up playing safe off the 5. Looks like he's going to put him on the 8, kind of push through on the 5 and try and roll forward to the back of the 8. Touchy shot. And maybe he's sizing up the combination. Yeah, he's going offensive.
No, there was a little bit of figuring out to do here, but Jayson Shaw has managed it. Puts away the 9 to level with Alex Pagulayan at 1-all. They're underway now over on table 2, Alban Ocean against Woo Kun Lin. Unlike this match, that one could have a big bearing on who gets through to the next phase. They both still need a little bit more to get the job done. So's win over Chris Melling, incidentally, takes her on to 3 wins out of 13 matches, but the most she can get to is 5, so it's too late to make any difference in terms of getting through.
Yeah, with the great format here, though, those matches still mean something because of prize money.
Yeah, every place that you move up the table wins you a bit more prize money, so absolutely, there'll still be plenty at stake. 1-1 here.
I think a few players taking a page out of FSR's book, bringing the cue ball in from the corner of the box. Seems to have been a little more common theme that I've seen the entire, last 12 months maybe.
If there's anyone you're going to look to, for example, at the moment, it is Sanchez Ruiz. I think at this moment, you'd still make him favourite to win this tournament, given the consistency he's shown.
Well, I was thinking about a little bit after the last match that I was in the booth doing FSRs, and of course playing great. That's got a lot to do with winning, but the break shot alone, I think he's the best breaker of the balls at the moment. I mean, for quite some time now with our new rule. I think he's figured it out the best. And 9-ball players, rotation players of any sort, they really feed off the break. Mentally, physically, it's just something that kind of gets you going, or can knock you, make you kind of pull your hair out as well.
It's a debate for another day, but it's arguably even more important than, say, the serve in tennis. It really can just set the entire tone. I think with tennis, maybe it's more important on some surfaces than others, but it's always a key factor in 9-ball pool.
Yeah, I think it'll continually be something that's looked at. I think it has to have eyes put on it at all times, just how great the players are. Alex has always been one of the better players with the crutch. Surprised he's using it here. He can certainly reach this ball.
He's just showing off how good he is with it.
Maybe. In America, we used to make all kinds of games at the pool room, and playing a player with the crutch full time is one of those proposition games.
Tends to be the shorter guys who are the best using it, whatever the cue sport is, because obviously you need it more and have more experience with it.
Yeah, and Alex, who spent a lot of time, of course, raised, I think, from the age of 12 or 13 in Canada, spent a lot of time on the 6x12, which you do pick out a lot of shorter shots, right? But when you're training, you're going to train with the bridge a little bit more than 9-ball players.
So for the second time, it's Pagulayan, a rack clear at 2-1.
.256 hopefuls go into action over 6 days. When an irresistible force meets an immovable object, something has got to give, but nothing is given yet. Final of a matchroom promoted tournament, the majors in the game.
Up on the wrong end against an opponent of this quality. Not quite as close as it's been for him in the last couple of rounds.
The 478th match of this terrific tournament in Fulda.
snowing outside here in Leicester. It's been a very cold week in the East Midlands of England. And inside, a few players looking to put in a late flurry to get through to the next phase. These two don't have to worry about that. Jayson Shaw, Alex Pagulayan. Pagulayan 2-1 in front as Shaw breaks in rack 4.
Getting the ball down. A lot of spin that time. Made the wing ball, actually, the corner ball, the blue 2. Pink 4 is a little tied up, but he could probably go for a cross-side bank, maybe on the 4 later in the rack. Don't, you know, the 3's not terrible to come across to break the 4-7 out, but really hard to gain the angle, the proper angle off the 1. So I think he'll just play for the bank. And don't want to be too straight here on the 3, though. Wants to be able to work the rock a little bit. He's gotten pretty nice on this bank to where he can just draw back. You know, maybe to the corner of the box, the break box. Doesn't really need that much. That'll offer a natural angle off the 5 to the 6.
You mentioned the prize money there a little earlier, Jeremy, and I think it's worth outlining how that works. Minimum for any player is $2,500, even if you finish in last place. And it goes up steadily with every position. For anyone who gets through to the next phase, you're guaranteed at least $4,500. If you make it through to Monday, $6,250 is the least you can have, and it goes all the way up to $20,000 for the winner, all from a total prize fund of $100,000.
Yeah, I think for the type of tournament, the round robin, so much play by all the players. I think the breakdown on the money is excellent. Surprising short here on this ball. That's the only real mistake, getting on the 7. And I doubt he backs off here, whether it's a cuttable ball or a bank shot.
Extension code.
I think it is cuttable, but awfully thin. And the way he's kind of standing behind the ball tells me he is going to go for the cut, I think. The tip position will tell us, yeah, it's a little high, so definitely cutting it. And you can always tell how thin the shot is when the cue ball goes some 4 rails back and forth before the object ball gets to the pocket.
Shaw just seems to play shots like that so well with that 7. The really thin cuts, like such a high percentage of them. And the high early standard in this match is continuing. For the second time, Jayson Shaw has drawn level. It's 2 apiece. Now we've barely had time to draw breath and get a look at the league table as it stands. Sanyan Pelovanovic setting the standard for everyone else to follow. Jayson Shaw, if he wins this match, will go level with him on matches won, but would still be behind him on the racks countback. And he go down there to 10th place. That's the last qualifying position for the next phase. And you see Woo Kun Lin there on 6. Well, he's in action at the moment against Albin Ocean, who's just ahead of him on 7, and really could do with one more win to make sure. That one is 1-1 at the moment over on table 2. And you can see that win for Soa against Chris Melling means she's now moved ahead of Khalid Al Ghamdi and is up to 14th place.
Alex Pagulayan to break. 2 racks each.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on those players with only 7 wins, even though they do have 3 matches. They feel like odds are in their favor, but
Get Van Boning, he's on 7 wins. He's only got 2 matches left to get another win. And behind the other players on 7 wins in racks difference.
yeah, it's going to be a little easier to calculate as the day progresses, but definitely a lot going on at the bottom of that board, right at the, I would say, even as much as where Conrad's at in the 6th position. I think there's some pressure on him there.
Well, he's actually the next opponent for Van Boning. Now, if SVB was to lose that one, his final match is against Pelovanovic. So that could become very significant for him tonight. He might be needing to win it, and maybe even by a particular score, to stay in the tournament.
Yeah, he's got a match under his belt today, which is, I think, huge. Got to break the balls, and he was very good at it so far in day 5. Big shot here going in the corner. Trying to stun forward. He may roll it. Just a little preference. A little awkward cueing as well, you can see.
Extension
Well,
code.
high quality so far from these two, and we'll see if Alex can keep that trend going in game number 5.
Both of these players in a similar position in their careers at the moment. Pagulayan has clearly got a renewed enthusiasm for competition and has made a really promising start to 2023. And Shaw, although he's a decade younger, well, he also is in a stage of renewal, because when he won the International towards the end of last year, he did say that he had maybe lost his passion and his enthusiasm for a while and was only just starting to get it back. So they're both almost starting afresh in their careers in the last few months.
Yeah, that wasn't the best. Tip came up a little bit, didn't get the draw on the ball, and I think sometimes, you know, these players, you know, that are very popular players as well, right? They can look at the business side of things in the game. You know, Shaw owns a pool room. Family man, of course. Alex, the same thing. Family man does a lot of traveling back home to the Philippines. So I think you can fool yourself sometimes and say I lost my interest a little bit, where it's a combination of things that maybe pique your interest, you know, otherwise.
Start the clock, please.
Yeah, and it's so hard to be competitive at the highest level now without having a full focus on the game. That's what the likes of Albin Ocean, Joshua Filler, Shane Van Boning are doing, and that's why they've been the most successful players over the last few years, and now in turn FSR.
Yeah, there's many things we like to do. Talked to Shane years ago about it, and you know, we brought up golf, and he said, well, I had to leave something behind to make sure I stay focused. He's got his one hobby, of course, the entire world knows about, the fishing, but that's not a physical thing that's going to take away so much at times, right? But trying to be the best in the world, hard to do too many other things.
Such has been the standard in this match. It had the look of a contest where just one error could make an enormous difference, and Pagulayan has perhaps made it there, and it's allowed Jayson Shaw to lead for the first time in this match at 3 racks to 2. The Shaws, I've said, looking for his 7th win in a row. When you consider the 2 matches he has lost were both 5-4, he could very easily have been chasing a 100% league Phase 1 record here.
Yeah, a little bonus should be if someone does that, right? Goes 15-0 the first 5 days.
Yeah, 13 was the most anyone got last year, and Shaw can still reach that. So can Pelovanovic. So Shaw ahead for the first time now at 3-2. Over on table 2, Woo Kun Lin, who's in that all-important 10th spot at the moment, leads Albin Ocean 2-1.
Yeah, he missed the one in the side. Again, he does have a sliver of the one, but I'm not sure there's much there. With the 7 impeding, hard to run the cue ball. And I think Woo is the mentality, the temperament that's kind of perfect for the pressure. Even though you wouldn't say he's like, top 5 guy in the world, but he's a great player. Top 30 in the world for sure. And you look at the player he's playing, might take a little more of the heat under the situation, have a little more expectation, and of course our defending champion in Albin Ocean.
Yeah, Wu got off to a really bad start, lost his first 3 matches, but when you look at it, he's won 6 out of 9 since then, which is a pretty good ratio when you consider the overall strength and depth of the opposition he's facing.
Yeah, that wasn't what he wanted there. You could see a little scratch of the head and kind of probably asking himself, what was that? Certainly feel like he wanted to get the one behind the purple 5. Now he's going to have an opportunity to kick out of it, but when you talk about errors, that's almost just as bad as the mistake Alex had in the last rack, putting yourself in a bad position now. Can get behind the 8. I don't know if he can get enough of the 1 there. He'll have to elevate the cue to do that. I thought he would kick and try and kind of bank the 1 around. Yeah, he's trying to pocket the 1 off the 2. I think this was the shot anyways, really. Some type of distance, playing the cue ball to the back rail.
Alex Pagulayan, a player whose heyday came in the mid to late 2000s, when he won so many of the game's biggest titles, won the World Championship and the US Open. For that golden spell in the middle of the decade, he went on to add the World Masters in 2008, where it's just one strong opponent after another.
Much better draw stroke from distance since the error in the last game. Pagulayan just made a beautiful shot after snookering himself. Big position, trying to go up 3-1 in a huge match. We're in such a good spot, being able to watch both tables. It's hard not to watch table 2 with so much going on there.
I think the split screen function could be an overdrive this evening when we have matches going on that we've got one where the significance of it hinges on the outcome of the other one. That's what a day like today is all about. The final day of phase 1. Nice shot there from Wu Kunlin, so it looks as though he's going 3-1 up. Ocean has really faded a bit because he won all of his first 4 matches. He's on 7 wins out of 12, and he's 3-1 down in that one.
I'd have to look back, but did it all kind of go down a hill a little bit more for Albin when after he lost to So-So?
Well, that was the match that ended his winning start. And it was the same last year. He won his first 10. Then he lost to Al-Qaedi, who he'd beaten in the final the year before. And it was the start of a run of 4 straight defeats. Not quite as extreme as that this year, but similar sort of thing. That so strong in terms of his results early on in this phase, and then 1 defeat. He's not been the same player since. Alex Pagulayan, on the other hand, has been pretty strong throughout. And he's level once again in this high-quality contest with Jayson Shaw. It's 3-all. The finish is next. The snow still falling in Leicester. We're nice and warm inside at the Morningside Arena, and things are hotting up on this final day of Phase 1 in the Premier League. We know these two are both going to be in the next phase, which starts tomorrow. They're all trying to pile up as many wins as they can to take forward into that next stage. And it's 3-all here in a really high-quality contest.
Yeah, great break off and even better result. Cupcake 2-ball, real natural position on the 3. Doesn't appear of any big issues. Oh, the 4. Oh, kind of overlooked that. Doesn't pass the 6. Not a tough combination if you get pretty good position on it. Looks like he's going inside English, trying to hit 2 rails inside the 3 like that. And the reason why you do that versus 1 rail, that way you never really have to worry about the 8. Impossible to get snookered that way. So if the pressure's on and you're a little worried, you can kind of recreate the route to make sure don't really have issues. And Albin missed another ball on the other table, so may have gotten a roll behind it, but he looks a little unsettled so far. That's got to go.
Someone asked me a question yesterday, Jeremy, that I wasn't able to provide an answer for, but you might. It's a term you used there a moment ago, English. So that's known in over this part of the world in snooker, that would be called side. So why is it known as English? Is that why?
Yeah, this came up actually, and we got a lot of answers, but I think the most common answer is in the 1800s at some time or another. The English had used leather tips, where American pool did not, and there was a man that toured, an English man that toured, and because of the leather tips he could spin the ball incredibly. So touring the country doing so many things, the Americans just called it English, just because the man was English himself. So kind of interesting.
A much more detailed answer than I was even hoping for. You were around in those days, of course, weren't you, Jeremy?
Yeah. Well, this is a bad situation for Alex. He's just got to take this, roll it in, and then maybe a cross-side bank on the 5. Oh, my. And that happens so often when you know there's not really much of a reward for pocketing the ball.
And yet, at the same time, perhaps a significant penalty for missing it. Chance here for Shaw to get to the hill, and of course he'll be breaking in the next rack. That would always be the case for the first player to the hill in a winner breaks format. Anxious moments. Not sure who exactly he's looking at there.
Yeah, a little laugh, knowing he got away with one. Didn't hit that one too well. Did fall, and that ball's been hanging a lot this week.
Maybe got away with that one. Pagulayan didn't get away with his miss a few shots earlier, and so Jayson Shaw leads by 4 racks to 3 as he looks for his 7th win in a row. It would take him level with Sanjin Pelovanovic, although he'd still be in 2nd place because he'd trail on the racks difference. Woo Kun Lin over on table 2 is 2 balls away from a 4-1 lead over Albin Ocean. Now that would be a hugely significant win. Indeed, if he was to win by a comfortable margin, well, that could be very significant as well, because it's so tight around that cut-off line, the racks difference really could come into it, depending on who gets in there. You look at the players on 5 wins. You've got Melling -9 racks difference, Luong -13, whereas Woo Kun Lin is +1. But then if it comes down to a head-to-head between, say, Woo and Woodward on the racks difference, well, they're dead level on that at the moment. Anyway, back here, Shaw on the hill.
Yeah, and if you look at, you know, Albin's road here on day 5, it doesn't get any easier. He plays FSR in his next match and then ends with Alex Pagulayan.
Yeah, and equally so from the racks difference point of view. He's only +7, so he could get dragged down if he doesn't get a couple of racks back there.
Going to be a little upset with that, mainly because the cue ball. Didn't really figure to get the snooker for sure, but he wanted the cue ball all the way to the bottom rail. Alex may attack with a cut shot here. Take a little chance with the cue ball. And it looks like he's going to play the safety off the right side of the one, maybe. Should be able to tell from his tip position. All right, it's straight high ball, so that tells me he's cutting at it. Really clean there. And anytime the cue ball holds its line like that, especially on the slick table, that tells you hit it about as pure as you could.
And the rewards could be big, because this is a great chance to make it 4-all. It would be a third hill finish in a row for Pagulayan. He's won both of the last two.
Yeah, he wants to get position as quick as possible here. He may sacrifice some distance. The 7 and 8 are two big balls for the line on the cue ball, and he's fairly flush and full on the pink 4. So he may just draw straight out, maybe to the head string, take a long shot. He decided to come by the 8. Good speed. Easy to overhit that one. Yeah, we should be set up for a hill match with Alex breaking and Woo Kun Lin has ball in hand against Albin Ocean. A decisive win at 5-1 and much needed.
And once he made that length of the table cut shot, it always seemed much more likely than not that Alex Pagulayan would get things done from there. And he has. So once again, he's going the distance. It's 4 apiece. Over on 2, Woo Kun Lin just a few balls away from beating Albin Ocean 5-1. It would get him to 7 wins. We've been talking about that all week as the target. So this may well be enough to get him through, and he's got a couple more matches to make sure anyway. Recent World Championship semi-finalist. A stage that he had reached before.
It looks like he may have gotten a little straight here to where he really has to draw the cue ball maybe 2-3 rails back where he's standing and back at the 7.
Woo currently 10th in the table. If he wins that, it'll take him all the way up to 7th. 1 rack to decide this.
Yeah, he made the one in the side. Looks like the 2 ball's really the shot of the rack, Michael. He gets that down, he'll be in position on the 3. He's got to work the rock a little bit to the 4, but got to like his chances if he knocks this in.
At 1-all, that's a fairly routine shot. At 4-all, it's a different story. Pagulayan has stood up to it, and now the chance is there. And if he does win the match, he'll stay 4th in the table. But the 3 players above him, Pagulayan, Shaw and Sanchez Ruiz, he'll have beaten those 3 in successive matches. Does that do for a player's confidence, a sequence of results like that?
Yeah, it just needs a little bit of left English here to flick the 4 in and come 1 rail between the 5-6. Oh, you got a lot out of that. This is going to get a little more angle than he wanted, but should be able to work the rock.
Woo Kun Lin has now closed it out. He's beaten Albin Ocean 5-1. Good result for him. It leaves Ocean with a little bit of doubt still about his place in the next phase. So he looks to retain this title.
All right, pretty perfect on the 7, just to come 1 rail out to the center. Could come across a little more to get straight, but I think Alex is going to dig on the cue ball here. He doesn't want this to get turned loose and open up that side pocket. He caught a little thin, so the cue ball's going to have a little movement. Ooh.
Had quality all the way in this match. Pagulayan is keeping the drama going as well, all the way to the finish.
Going with a high ball 2 rails for the 9 in the lower left. Speed's going to be good. He wants to stay off the rail with the cue ball.
Well, Alex Pagulayan made the early running. He went 4-3 down, but he's won the last 2 rounds.